The floorboards beneath my feet groan with a familiar, weary protest, a sound that has become the soundtrack to my solitude. I am 92 years old. My skin is the texture of ancient crumpled parchment, and my hands, once steady enough to build empires, now tremble like autumn leaves in a gale. I have outlived my wife, Eleanor. I can still smell the faint, ghostly scent of lavender on her pillow. I have outlived my friends, their laughter now just a muffled echo in the halls of my memory. I have even outlived my enemies, those men whose names once tasted like copper in my mouth. But most importantly, I have outlived the version of myself that used to give a damn about what people thought of me. That man is dead and buried. I am standing now at the very edge of a jagged cliff, the salt spray of the unknown misting my face. I can see the bottom, dark and inevitable. And before I take that final step over the precipice, I need to turn around and shout back to you, the people still dancing at the party, blinded by the strobe lights and the thumping bass. I need to tell you what I see from here, because from where I stand, you are all living a magnificent, arrogant lie. You walk around with this comfortable velvet delusion that you'll have time. You treat your days like they are cheap copper coins, as if you have an infinite vault of them hidden away in some celestial bank. You squander them on trivialities and grudges. I'm here to tell you, with the brutal clarity of a man who can hear the reaper's breath, that you are broke. We are all going to die. You know this intellectually, sure. It's a fact in a textbook. But you don't know it. You don't feel the cold, sharpened steel of that realization pressed against the pulse point of your neck. If you did, the very air you breathe would taste different. Let me tell you about a man named Jack. The year was 1968. The air was thick with the scent of revolution and diesel exhaust. Jack was my best friend, a man who moved through the world like a great white shark through a school of tuna. He was smarter, sharper, and far wealthier than I could ever hope to be. I remember one night vividly, the clink of ice against crystal, the blue haze of a Cuban cigar swirling around his head like a halo of ambition. He leaned back in his leather chair, the hide creaking under his weight, and looked at me with eyes that burned with a restless fire. "Frank," he whispered, his voice thick with the confidence of a man who thought he conquered fate. 5 more years, that's the strategy. I grind for 5 more years, I hit the number, and then I'm done. Then I take Mary to the Amalfi Coast. I'll buy the finest oils and finally learn to paint. That's when I start living. Jack had a world map, a meticulously plotted chart of a future that felt as solid as the granite skyscrapers outside his window. He was trading his now for a leader that he assumed was guaranteed by his bank balance. 3 days later, the map burned. Jack walked out of his office building, the midday sun glinting off his gold watch. He grabbed his chest, his face contorting into a mask of pure, unadulterated shock, and hit the gray concrete sidewalk before he even realized he was falling. A massive heart attack. He was 42 years old. He never saw the Mediterranean blue of Italy. He never touched a paintbrush. He died on a dirty New York street, surrounded by strangers in suits who were too busy to stop. I stood over his casket, the smell of lilies cloying and suffocating. The tragedy wasn't that Jack died. Death is the only honest thing in this world. The tragedy was that Jack had spent his entire existence in a waiting room, flipping through magazines of a life he intended to start someday. He treated his present like a chore to be finished. A week later, I cleared out his desk. His calendar was a minefield of urgent meetings for the next 6 months. His inbox was overflowing with memos that felt like life and death at the time. But the world didn't stop. His company replaced him within a fortnight. His clients couldn't remember his middle name a year later. Looking at you now, I see Jack's ghost in every one of you. You tell yourselves the same poisonous lies. I'll be happy when I get the promotion. I'll take the trip when the kids are through college. I'll forgive my brother when he calls to me. Let me give you a hard, cold fact from a man who has seen 92 winters. There is no later. There's only the fleeting precarious now. If you are trading your current breath for a future that hasn't been promised to you, you are making the most disastrous bet in the history of gambling. And let's talk about your stuff. I watch your generation, obsessed with the heavy, cluttering weight of accumulation. You buy plastic trinkets you don't need, with digital numbers you haven't earned, to impress shadows you don't even like. I live in a single room now. I have a new bed, a sturdy chair, and a framed photograph of Eleanor from the summer of '55. I used to own a sprawling estate. I had a garage full of German engineering that peered like a kitten. And I am telling you, with the absolute, terrifying clarity of the endgame, it is all garbage. I have stood at the edge of many graves. I have never, not once, seen a U-Haul trailer following a hearse. When you draw your last breath, your children will hire a stranger to come into your sanctuary and toss 90% of your precious belongings into a rusted dumpster. The other 10%, they'll sell it for quarters at a yard sale to people who don't know your name. That is the sum total of your materialism, future trash. Why are you breaking your back and missing your daughter's childhood to pay for a car that spends its life sitting in a traffic jam? It is a fever dream. It is madness. I remember my big victory in 1979. I was crowned Businessman of the Year. It was a black tie affair, the air smelling of expensive perfume and hairspray. I walked to the podium, the tuxedo collar scratching my neck, and the applause was a deafening roar. I felt like a god. I went home that night clutching a heavy glass trophy, feeling like I'd finally won the game of life. But the house was dark. Eleanor was asleep. My children were ghosts in their own beds. I sat at the kitchen table alone, the silence ringing in my ears, drinking a scotch that tasted like ash. I realized then that the applause had already died. The people at that banquet didn't love me. They loved what I could do for their bottom line. And the people upstairs, the ones who actually knew the sound of my sneeze and the shape of my dreams, I had neglected them for months to win a piece of molded glass. I missed my son's varsity games to sit in boardrooms. I missed anniversary dinners to close mergers. And for what? That trophy is in a cardboard box in a basement I haven't visited in a decade. But the memory of Eleanor's sad, lonely eyes when I told her I had to work late, that memory is a permanent tenant in my mind. It stays. You think your career is your legacy. It isn't. It's a transaction. You are selling the irreplaceable hours of your life to build a castle for someone who will replace you before your obituary is even printed. Do not worship at the altar of your cubicle. It will not love you back. It will not hold your hand when the lights go out and the room goes cold. So, what is left when the money is revealed as fake and the career as a trap? Only the things you gave away. The love you scattered, the time you gifted, the genuine connections you forged in the fire of shared experience. I sit in this chair, and I don't replay my most profitable deals. I replay the smell of Sunday morning coffee with Eleanor. I replay the high-pitched melodic sound of my daughter's laughter when she was 3 years old, chasing fireflies in the yard. I replay the time I helped a stranger in the blizzard, the biting cold of the snow against my skin as we pushed his car free. That is the only wealth that survives the transition. So, here is my final strategy for you, a no-nonsense roadmap for what remains of your time. First, kill your ego. You are so paralyzed by the fear of looking foolish that you never take the leap. You don't start the business, you don't write the book, you don't tell someone how you truly feel. Why? Because you think the world is watching. Let me liberate you. Nobody is watching. They are far too busy drowning in their own insecurities. You are the protagonist only in your own head. To everyone else, you are just background noise. Stop letting the judgment of people who will be dust alongside you dictate your joy. Second, practice the ancient art of Memento Mori, the last time technique. Every time you do something, remind yourself that one day you will do it for the final time. One day you will lift your child into the air for the last time. One day you will feel the warmth of your spouse's hand for the last time. One day you will taste the bitterness of coffee or feel the wind on your face for the last time. You don't know when that day is. It could be decades away, or it could be before the sun sets today. If you live with that knowledge, you will never take a second for granted again. You will linger in the hug. You will truly taste the meal. Finally, wake up. I am 92. My bones ache with every shift in the weather, and my eyes see only shadows. But you have a golden ticket. You have health. You have the fire of youth. And yet you spend it staring at a glowing rectangle, numbing your soul with the lives of others. Stop. Go outside. Feel the grit of the earth. Forgive your enemy, not for their sake, but because your heart is too small a vessel to carry the heavy luggage of hate. We are all headed for the same destination, but most people never actually live. They just exist in a state of perpetual preparation. They stay safe, they stay comfortable, and then they expire. Don't be like Jack. Don't wait for the 5-year plan. Eat the good food, buy the plane ticket, and for God's sake, say I love you first. The clock is ticking. Can you hear it? That is the sound of your life leaking away. Don't let it run out into an empty cup. I'm tired now. The sun is setting. Go live. Jack spent his whole life waiting for a someday that was buried with him in a mahogany box. If you knew today was your last time for something you love, what would you change about the next hour? Tell us in the comments. What are you no longer willing to wait for?